I have a feeling many of you are like my client, Tom. Tom epitomizes the retirement planning journey of many Americans, with the bulk of his savings nestled in the tax-deferred havens of IRAs and 401k accounts. At 45, he's squarely in the middle of his career, a stage where the reality of retirement starts to take on a sharper focus. Like many in his position, and many of you, I gather, Tom has taken the prudent step of stashing away money, his earnings, in these accounts, leveraging the tax advantages they offer to maximize his security in the future. Yet his situation also underscores a common challenge: navigating the complexities of ensuring these savings will suffice for a comfortable retirement, considering the fact that he will owe a lot of tax in the future. Consider this stat. IRA and 401k plans together account for a substantial share of Americans' retirement assets, with IRAs alone making up roughly 35% and 401ks around 19% of the total retirement assets. Combined, these account types hold over 50% of U.S. retirement savings. Here's the problem. 70% of Americans, according to a recent study, have no plan for this critical part of their retirement. If you take one thing from this video, please let it be this: saving for retirement by just contributing to a 401k may not be enough if you haven't considered how taxes will eat into your income later on. Many people don't think about the fact that they could be taxed 20-30% on their retirement money when they start using it. By the time they realize this, it's often too late to make any substantive changes to their plan. Which brings us to the subject of this video. Here are 3 tax strategies that less than a third of Americans are considering but should be. Number 1, making withdrawals strategically from traditional Roth accounts to remain in a lower tax bracket. 32% of people surveyed recently by Northwestern Mutual plan to make strategic withdrawals. Let me explain. Your overall taxable income affects many other areas of taxation. For example, if you make too much money, Medicare costs more. If you make too much money, your Social Security benefits might be taxed at a higher rate. The goal is always the lowest possible taxable income that allows you to live comfortably. For this to be the case, let's assume that all your assets fit into one of the 3 following buckets. You can have a taxable account where you get a 1099 each year and pay tax based upon the growth. Think dividends and capital gains. The second bucket houses tax-deferred accounts like your 401k and your IRA. Finally, the third bucket might include Roth accounts and carefully structured cash value life insurance policies. Here's the thing. There's a mathematically ideal amount of money to have in each of these 3 buckets to reduce the taxes you'll pay over the remainder of your life. Of course, every situation is different, and I'm clearly simplifying a bit here, but the risk of spending your accounts in the wrong order is real. Let's put some numbers behind this. Let's say a couple has a total of $800,000 in savings. Specifically, they have $100K in Roth accounts, $400K in IRA accounts, and an additional $300K in an individual account. In retirement, the order that we draw upon our assets matters. For example, if we take from the individual account first, over the life of the plan, we're going to pay a total of $261,000 in taxes. The end of plan balance will be approximately $1.5 million. This makes sense for 2 reasons. Number 1, we've already paid tax on this money, so we're only taxed on the growth. And 2, because we won't need IRA money until later in life, whoever inherits our IRAs will likely shoulder much of that burden. Conversely, if we take from the IRA first, we're going to pay a lot of ordinary income tax. In this scenario, the overall tax burden will be approximately $376,000, and we'll have about $1.2 million at the end of the plan. Neither is the best approach. The best approach is if we take a little bit from all 3 buckets over time. In this scenario, we're going to pay only $220K in taxes and have the highest ending balance of all 3 scenarios. Strategic withdrawals work, as does the second easy way to create a tax-efficient retirement plan. This strategy involves making Roth conversions before you begin taking RMDs and Social Security. In case you aren't familiar, required minimum distributions, or RMDs, are the minimum amounts that you must withdraw annually from your retirement accounts after reaching a certain age. Originally, this age was 70 and a half, but following the Secure Act of 2019, it's been updated to 72 and will eventually go to 75 by the year 2033. Always remember that our objective is to reduce the amount of money in your tax-deferred accounts so the RMDs don't cause unnecessary tax in other areas. From our example, if the client were to complete a $40,000 conversion each of the next 5 years, they'll reduce the taxes paid even more to about $169,000. This is because a higher percentage of income that they'll need in retirement will come from the Roth account. Roth conversions can be powerful, but there are a few considerations where I don't believe it makes sense to do a conversion. Number 1, if the tax is coming from the conversion, it may not make sense. Remember, When you do a conversion, you have to pay tax. The question is, where is that tax money going to come from? Which bucket? If it's coming from the amount you're converting, the conversion itself might not be worth it. The reason is because our objective is always to get as much money growing tax-free in the first place to overcome the fact that you have to pay taxes. If the tax payment comes from an individual account, as I modeled in the example I'm sharing with you right now, that's much better. For example, if you convert $40,000 and pay the $8,000 or so of tax due from your $40K, you're only getting $32,000 into the Roth environment. This may not be the desired outcome. Number two, if you're older, it may not make sense to convert. I'd love to give you an age, but every situation is different. Remember, we have to overcome the effect of paying tax on the conversion. We need time. And number three, if you're a conservative investor, you don't like to take risk, the same applies. You may not make enough in yearly returns on the conversion to justify paying that tax up front. The third easy way to create a tax-efficient retirement plan is by using permanent life insurance. Ed Slott is the go-to resource as it relates to retirement and tax planning laws and strategies. He's the author of many books and articles and trains financial industry professionals all over the world. The following quote is from his book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. The single best, most cost-effective yet amazingly underutilized strategy for protecting retirement account balances, especially large ones, from being decimated by the highest levels of combined taxation is to buy life insurance to offset the tax burden that beneficiaries may face. Tony Robbins, you know him, the author of Money Master the Game 7 Simple Steps for Financial Freedom, he emphasizes this concept repeatedly in his books and lectures. Removing taxes from the equation can have dramatic effects, and the time required to achieve critical mass and financial independence can be exponentially accelerated. This tax-free growth feature is why affluent people often use this vehicle. They generally can't contribute to a Roth account because their earnings are too high. But investing in life insurance, it really bears some resemblance to a gigantic Roth account in terms of how it's taxed. With both the Roth account and life insurance, you pay taxes on your income up front, but once you invest after-tax dollars into a specific type of life insurance, it's never taxed again. Experts and economists see plenty of upside, but it's not all a bed of roses. There are downsides as well. You got to be careful. By the way, I did a deep dive on permanent life insurance, including several pros and cons of the concept. I'll put the link for that video in the description. All right, let's wrap this video up by circling back to a critical point. The majority of people I encounter have their savings tucked away in tax-deferred accounts. The future of tax rates is uncertain. They could rise, they could fall. Just as you diversify your investments to mitigate risk, diversifying your tax strategy across different types of accounts is equally important. It's about preparing for any scenario and ensuring that your retirement funds are positioned to benefit no matter how the tax winds may be a-shifting. Thanks for watching.